Imagine that you have just woken up as this person looking at this video, watching this video in your body. That your personal past isn't really there. That you've just woken up as who you are. Hey everyone, today I wanted to share a quick mental experiment that you can do to get a glimpse of what the path to enlightenment or what spirituality is all about. It's very simple, but it's very powerful. I kind of like to think of it as seeing an optical illusion. You know, when you see an optical illusion, it's not that you're seeing anything that isn't there already. It's that you see it in a new way. All of a sudden a click happens and you see the same form, the same shape, but in a much different way. You see the relief that was in there. You see forms that were in there that were kind of hidden by the illusion. This is a very good analogy for what this mental experiment is like. So with spirituality and enlightenment, we often think of it as going through a process or a path. You know, we need to meditate for a certain number of years. We need to do this. We need to study. We need to learn from a teacher and so forth. And that is all very powerful. But what I think this little mental experiment does is it can show you very directly. I'm not saying it's a solution to all that or it replaces all of that, but it gets you a very quick glimpse into the heart of the matter here. I want to say as well that I picked this up from The Untethered Soul, the book The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Not exactly what I'm teaching here, but his idea really inspired me. His idea is that life is kind of like being a character in a video game, except that we're not just seeing the character on a screen like we do with an actual video game. You know, we're sitting in front of the screen and we're seeing the character on the screen. It's actually that we're inside the character, we're feeling emotions, we're having thoughts, we're seeing the world around us, we're hearing, we're tasting and so on. It's like this, and we're experiencing the sense of time, and we have no reference frame for it. This inspired me to come up with this little thought experiment here, because I got a really powerful glimpse from his little thought experiment. What are the effects of doing this thought experiment? You're going to see your usual identity as this person, as this personality. You're going to see it with much greater clarity. You're going to see what you're feeling with much greater clarity. You're going to realize what you're thinking about. You're going to notice the behavior patterns that you're running all the time. You're going to notice how addicted you are to this personality and how you really believe that it's you. And in doing so, we're cutting right to the matter of what Buddhism teaches and what many other spiritual traditions teach, which is the illusion of our separate sense of identity, the illusion of being attached to this identity that we don't need to be attached to, but we get so habituated to it that inevitably we do become attached to it. So what's this experiment about? Okay, what I'd like you to do right now as you're watching this video is imagine, although this isn't just a mental imagination, it's also physical, it's felt, it's an imagination of your entire sensory field, is to imagine that you have just woken up as this person looking at this video, watching this video in your body. That your personal past isn't really there. That you've just woken up as who you are. So it's not, when I'm talking to you, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the character that you are now playing, because you have just woken up into this character. Can you imagine that? Can you see that you are just this new character, this new human being playing a role, wearing these clothes, thinking these thoughts, having these emotions, looking at this screen, sitting wherever you're sitting right now, if you're sitting or if you're walking around? that you're doing all these things, you are being this person without actually being that person. Can you get in touch with that? Now, it's not so easy to do this because, again, we're so addicted to our personality and who we are and our sense of past and future and our personal history and all the stories that we tell ourselves and the continual thought stream that we're experiencing all the time. But just see if you can do that. And then you can ask yourself, if I can imagine that I am someone else and it actually feels like this isn't who I am, it's just something that I'm experiencing, it's a role that I'm playing, who am I? Who actually am I then, if the character that I've now realised that I am isn't who I really am? Who am I? And notice it's not who am I now, it's who have I always been? Because like with a visual optical illusion, the actual pattern hasn't changed. It's just your perception of it. There's a click that happens and it switches over to something else and you realise what was hidden. So what happens if you do that with your entire life and your entire sense of identity? That you realise that this is just a character you're playing. What happens? Who are you then? Because everything to do with the character is just part of the character and its whole thing, its whole life, its whole sense of reality. You know, the thoughts you're experiencing, the emotions, the clothes you're wearing, the body that you're feeling, all your urges and desires, your sense of past and future, your memories, your family, your friends, and everything. Absolutely everything. Everything you identify with. You have to now realise that that is not who you are. So who are you? If that isn't permanent, what is permanent? What is actually you? I'm not going to answer that question for you. I just want you to run this question through your mind. So, what is the point of this exercise? The point of this exercise is to cut through your identification. It's to take you out of small mind and into big mind. Because once you make your mind an object, once you make it an object as part of this human character that you are playing, you realise that you cannot be the mind. You simply cannot be the mind. It puts you into big mind. It takes you away from small mind and puts you into big mind. Big mind is witnessing awareness that is detached from any objects of awareness, any objects of your perception, like your body, sight, sound, emotions, thoughts, and so on. The big mind observes all this. It just sees it all and it's not identified with it. And you might wonder, well, Ross, isn't this just aren't we just twisting things here? Aren't we just, isn't this just, are we just playing semantics here? Well, first of all, if you have that doubt, I encourage you to actually do this experiment on your own. Really try and get that sense that you are just experiencing this character and you're experiencing it for the first time ever. You have just woken up into this life, into this character. Really do it until you have the realization of what I'm talking about. And no, it is not just semantics. We're not just twisting things, I'm not just rearranging things. I'm trying to point you to a very deep truth about life and about who you are. What basically happens is, and I can actually kind of remember this happening. I remember very moments in my life where it was very strong, like a new attachment to my identity came online. When we're born, we are not identified with our body. We don't have much of a mental world yet. We don't have a hugely developed emotional world, although enough to, be able to cry and to be able to experience pain and so on. But we're not identified with it. It's just something that's happening to us. There is no sense of, this is who I am. This is a fact from psychology. Over the course of our life, though, our identity builds up. Our mental world becomes more complicated. We start to be able to understand the world in terms of concepts. We can have mental maps of the world of things that aren't here. So we form a sense of 3D, physical reality, permanent reality. We have a sense of past and future. We start to understand the world, whereas before we didn't really understand what was going on. You might remember that as a kid, you were doing all this stuff and your parents were sort of leading you and telling you what to do, but you didn't really understand. I remember driving around in the car when I was a child, remembering different scenes, different places around the city where I grew up. And I remember seeing these different places when I was younger, but I couldn't connect them all. I didn't understand how it all connected together, so I didn't have the mental machinery required. Over time, our mental machinery becomes so developed. We get responsibilities, we have emotions, we have trouble in life, and we develop a whole sense of personal history and a personal future to come. We just get so trapped in this identity. And it's not just a mental identity, it's a physical identity. It's not just that we experience a body, we actually believe we are the body. Anything that happens in the body, we immediately identify with it. What we do with this exercise, we cut right through all that. We're not negating it, we're not saying we need to destroy all that, we need to go back to infancy. That would be to misunderstand this. It's to, as Michael Singer showed me, is to wake up into the body and into the mind, realizing that yes, this is something you've always been experiencing, but that it's not actually who you are. It's a character. It's like being locked in a 5-dimensional video game. Give that a try, make it a meditation practice, as a sitting meditation. Do it in sitting meditation, as a meditation practice in its own right, or as a little add-on at the beginning or end. Do it as you're going about your life, in innocuous situations and in difficult situations. Trying to see that in every moment you're waking up into this character, and that you have the choice of how much you want to be identified with it. And I want you also to take solace in the fact that there is a deep part of you, your true identity, which is not attached. Attachment is also part of the character. I want you to realise that. There is a deep part of you from birth, and some might say before birth. They have the expression, your original face before your parents were born, and it's a metaphor, but it gets you thinking. There's a deep part of you that has never really been identified. It's always been just watching. And that's what we're ultimately trying to rediscover on the spiritual journey, on the path to enlightenment. Great. Thank you for listening. Please do practice this. It's very powerful. Make it a habit. And do stick around for more. Make sure to subscribe. Do check out the website. I've got tons of resources on meditation, spirituality, and so on. And I've got premium courses there too. I'd love you to take one of those to continue to grow with your spiritual life, your journey of self-understanding, personal growth. Thank you.